Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be taking you step by step through my most used makeup products of 2022. I reviewed a whole lot of makeup throughout last year, but these were the products that I reached out the most for sure, and I'll be creating this makeup look as I go along and tell you about the products and why I reach for them all the time and why they are ultimately my favorite, because I feel like that is kind of the ultimate test for your makeup favorites, whether or not they stand the test of time, whether or not you use the product a lot, and whether or not you choose that product over and over other products in your collection. So these are my 2022 favorites slash my most used products of 2022. Step by step, every single product on my face, and of course I have a list of them down below in the description box of this video with links to where you can shop for them. If you're interested in any of these products, please shop my links in the description box. When you shop my links, it helps my channel, and we have a lot of products to get through. So if you're excited for today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and get started. Of course, I'm going to go ahead and get started with a bare face because I want to go through every single step of my makeup routine and show you what are the products that I used most this year. And one that is very obvious and that I know a lot of you know about is definitely my brow gel, which is always my first step to my routine. This is my Brow Freeze from Anastasia. This particular one I got sometime throughout 2022, and as you can see, it is almost empty. So I did order a brand new one the other day when they had them on sale for half off. I told you guys about this sale on my community page, and it just arrived today. Something that I always use with my brow gel is the Brow Freeze brush, and I broke mine. I broke mine the other day, which I was so sad about. So thankfully this one also went on sale, and I have a brand new one to use right here with me. So this is what I'm going to use today, and this one is going in the garbage. Also, the first concern slash complaint I get about this brush and this brow gel is that it becomes white and it gives you flakes throughout your brows, but I don't ever use it dirty like this. I always have a brush cleaner at hand and paper towel, so I usually spray it with the brush cleaner every time before I'm going to use it, and I wipe off all of that gunk, because if you use it with that gunk, it will give you white flakes on your eyebrows, and nobody wants that. So I usually clean it right before I use it, and once it is back to clean looking like this, then I brush the gel through my eyebrows. Like I said, this is my old one and it's going in the bin. I'm very excited to have a new one. Even before I broke it, I was going to get myself a new one because the bristles on that one were not as even looking as this one anymore. Anyways, this is definitely the magic step right here that makes my brows go from sad to sassy, and I love it. And nothing works as good as this gel on my eyebrows. My eyebrows are definitely very stubborn, very thick, and this one is just magic. As you can see, I love it. And so of course this was one of my most used brow products of 2022 because I used it every single time I did my makeup. And so here is how the brows look once the gel is applied. Moving on to my next most used product of 2022, this brow pencil right here from Charlotte Tilbury. This one is a refillable brow pencil that Charlotte Tilbury sells, which I love because you can get the refills for $15, and high-end eyebrow pencils usually run around $25. So you save quite a chunk of money by getting a refillable one. The color I have mine in is like brown black, or natural black actually, and this works wonders because it is very pigmented. It works amazingly over the gel, and I just fill my eyebrows with it. I also extend my brows and just fill in all the gaps I feel like Knit Filling. So I love this pencil because of the price, because it is pigmented, because it is easy to use, and it fills in my eyebrows really nicely. So let's move on to my most used brow pen of 2022. And a brow pen isn't a product that I use every time. Sometimes I do my eyebrows just like this, but it is a product that I love to use to fill in extra gaps that the pencil does not do the best job at filling, because with this one I can draw hair-like strokes that fill in all these little spaces where you see that I have pencil but no real hairs. So that's where the pen comes in. And my most used pen of 2022 is definitely this one from NYX Cosmetics. This beats any high-end pen that I have tried. This is the greatest product. See how it just fills things in so seamlessly. It is called the Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen from NYX, and I have mine in the shade Black because that is literally the color of my brow hairs. They're black, and since I want to simulate that I have more of those, I have to use the darkest shade they have. My most used moisturizer of 2022 was definitely, once again, Magic Cream, because this is what I use on a daily basis when I do my makeup. And I think I switched around my nighttime moisturizers every few months. Once I was done with one, I would switch it for another, but I didn't have a fixed one that I can tell you about. So Magic Cream was definitely the moisturizer I used most through 2022, because every time I did my makeup, this is the one I reach for. I do always apply my moisturizer after I am done with my brows, because otherwise the gel will not stick. That's, I guess, a different trick I could share with you. The gel doesn't stick if your face is greasy. So I always fill in my brows first, and once they're filled in and they are nice and wispy looking, that's when I moisturize my face. I also don't have a most used eye cream of 2023 because I switched those around quite a bit as well. But I do definitely have a most used primer, and it's weird because this one came out, I think, towards the middle of the year, but once it came out, I could not use anything else. And so I feel like at the beginning of the year, I was kind of flip-flopping between different primers. Some days I was just doing Magic Cream and my foundation alone and not putting a primer on top. And then once this came out, this was all I used from when it came out on. Like I said, I think it came out during the summertime. Anyways, I'm talking about the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Balm. This was definitely my most used primer type product of 2022, because just look at the difference it makes on my skin. I use very little. I noticed the other day I never used this little spatula that came with it, and the reason is that the spatula just grabs too much product. I remember when I first tried it, I did use the spatula and too much came out, and so I just like to rub my fingers through it and grab whatever comes out and then just build it up from there. Anyways, the reason I love this one so much is because, as you can see, it gives me coverage. I have mine in the shade 3, and it also fills in my pores. It helps with my texture, and it is just the best primer. This one got mixed reviews, but when I tell you, I cannot put it down. If any of you has tried it because I recommended it, please let me know down below, and also let me know what you think of it. If you liked it or if you didn't like it, I would definitely love the feedback. As you can see, it being one of my most used products of the year, I absolutely loved it. I always use it the same way, very little, smoothing it all over, right on top of my moisturizer, and I think it works wonders. Now, when it comes to foundation, I was debating which foundation I used most throughout 2022, and I couldn't pick just one. I feel like I have 2 foundations that I used a lot throughout the year, and I don't know which one I used more than the other. I feel like they were right there as far as usage is concerned. I'm of course talking about the number 1, the Chanel foundation, which came out right at the beginning of last year, and I could not put it down. In fact, you can see mine is like all the way down here, is almost fully gone. And the other one I used a whole lot was my Pat McGrath Skin Fetish foundation, which I have a new one to open because I fully finished mine. These formulas are very similar, which is why I love them both. I have the B20 in the Chanel foundation and the light medium 9 in the Pat McGrath, and it's like, this is my winter color. The Chanel foundation is like my winter color, and then the Pat McGrath is my summer color, but I can use them both throughout the whole year and I love them. I'm obsessed with this formula and how beautiful it makes my skin look. I even did a video this year comparing them side by side, and there are very few differences between them. So for today's video, I think I'm going to apply my Pat McGrath foundation just because the Chanel one is almost gone and I want to save it a little longer, you know? So I'm going to use my brand new Pat McGrath foundation, and I'm going to use it with one of my most used tools of the year, which is this right here. This is the Sonia Kashuk blending sponge. I got this one at Target and I have been obsessed with it for years now. This one is not new. I've had it for quite some time. It has the perfect bounce and the perfect size, and I absolutely love it to apply my makeup with. This sponge just puts your makeup on so fast. It's easy to clean too. That's another huge plus for me. And you can see the Pat McGrath foundation on my face. It just works. If you have dry skin and you have not tried the Pat McGrath foundation, you are being silly, because I promise you, you are going to love it. It is amazing for my dry skin. It just works wonders for me. And so does the Chanel #1 foundation. Like I said, they have very similar formulas, very few differences between them, and they both work. When it comes to covering the under eye area, undeniably my most used under eye product in 2022 was this right here. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Color Corrector. In fact, I got a new one throughout the year because I fully finished one of these. I get mine in the medium shade, and this makes all of the difference when covering up under eye circles, especially if you have purpley hues that come through underneath your eyes. Sometimes you can use concealer and you still see that darkness coming through. What you need, trust me, is a color corrector. This will prevent any of that darkness from coming through your concealer. It'll add the perfect amount of coverage to your under eye, and you're going to love your makeup so much more if you add this step to your routine, I promise. So this is the color corrector underneath my eyes. As you can see, it looks like I already have my under eyes covered, which I mean, to a certain extent I do, and I kind of use it alone and I love it, but I do love to use it with a brightening concealer over top of it, and that's definitely my favorite way to go. But this was one of my most used products in 2022. I used it daily, unless I was doing like a concealer review where I was purposely trying a product without a color corrector. I was putting this color corrector on. Moving on to my most used concealer, definitely my YSL Full Cover Concealer in shade 2. I had romances throughout 2022 with other concealers that I liked. I'm not gonna lie, I liked some of them. But this one is the one that I'm married to, my tried and true. This one has been my favorite ever since it came out. It is so kind to my dry skin and my dry under eyes. It has really nice coverage, especially if you put it on with a color corrector like I do. It will have a full coverage. It'll look radiant and hydrating underneath your eyes, and it is such a thin product with the color corrector, which is also a very thin product, that it barely creases underneath your eye. Especially if you set it with some translucent powder, you will have zero problems with this one. Definitely still my #1 favorite concealer in my collection, and obviously that is the reason why it's my most used for last year, because I just can't put it down. Like I said, I had little affairs here and there with other concealers that worked, but I always went back to this one. In particular, on days where I just want my makeup to look amazing, this is the one that I trust most to do that job, you know? So I love my YSL Full Coverage Concealer, and I highly recommend it. As far as setting powder goes, I think towards the end of the year, like the last 4 months or so, I fell in love really hard with the Tone Up powder from Laura Mercier. This one is great. I love it. Maybe it'll be my most used powder of 2023 because I currently can't put it down. However, my actually most used powder of 2022 has to be my Pat McGrath Under Eye Setting Powder, because all the way till August, from the beginning of the year, this one was the one that I could not put down. So this is the one I'm going to apply today, of course. And I do still love this product so much. It is the perfect setting powder. It's very thin. It makes my under eyes not crease. It is translucent. Definitely always apply it with a very soft, small, fluffy brush that is not going to pack on too much product, because if you pack it on, like if you were to like put it on with a sponge or something like that, I feel like it could be a bit much. But with a thin, fluffy brush like this one and just being careful about the amounts that you put on, you will absolutely love this powder. Definitely still one of my all-time favorite powder products. Like I said, I've been reaching more for the Laura Mercier as of lately, but I still do love this one. And you can see why these products are my most used and my favorite. Look at how good my complexion looks right now. Moving on to bronzing slash contouring products, I'll do a contour and a bronzer. My most used contour product of 2022 has to be this right here from Miss Charlotte Tilbury, the Charlotte Tilbury Contour Wand. In fact, I fully finished one of these throughout 2022, and this tube I'm holding on my hand right now is a newer one. I know this product can sometimes be a bit hard to get because it runs out quite a lot, but it is so fantastic at giving you a really beautiful natural contour look. I use mine in the shade light medium, and I just kind of dot it the way you are seeing right now throughout my face, and then I blend it out with a dense sponge so that I don't have any streaks. This one is the BK Beauty 109, and by the way, I'm going to leave you a link down below to a BK Beauty brush set that I highly recommend you get, because they literally put my all-time favorite BK Beauty brushes in a set and they're selling it together. You guys know I have been a long time lover of the BK Beauty 101. This is my favorite foundation brush ever. This one, the 109, since it came out, is my favorite to blend out my contour products with. If I were to apply like a liquid or a cream blush, I would definitely use this brush as well, because it's just the perfect size and the perfect density. And then the third brush in the set is this one right here, the A506, which is an amazing, amazing concealer brush. So I absolutely love it. So they put all three of my favorite BK Beauty brushes in a set, and they're selling it with a bit of a bundled discount. Plus, you can use the code PATTY10 to get an extra 10% off your purchase. And I think it's a pretty good deal. Definitely recommend those brushes so much. Also, since we're in the topic of BK Beauty, if you've been wondering about when they're going to sell their short handle brushes individually, that is also coming very soon. But I recommend the set though, because you get all three of my favorite brushes, and I think they're best brushes in general, because there is a reason they made that set with a bit of a bundled discount, and I think that's great. The face is contoured, and let's move on to my favorite powder bronzer of 2022, my most used, which came out in 2022 around the summertime, and ever since it came out I could not go back to anything else. I'm talking about the M Cosmetics Sculpting Bronzer. This one is in the shade Slip, and as you can see, I dug a little hole in mine already because I've been using it so much. Anyways, I don't necessarily always use this contour with this bronzer together. Sometimes I use the contour and I'm happy with the amount of bronziness. Many times I've used the bronzer on its own. For the purposes of today's video though, I'll combine them. I have also used them combined in the past when I want to look extra bronzy. Nothing against that. But yeah, this M Cosmetics bronzer is spectacular because it just has the perfect bronzy slash sculpting shade for me. Plus it has an amazing formula. I've said this in the past. I feel like M Cosmetics makeup is this amazing high-end makeup, but really their formulas are luxurious. It's like they're selling luxury makeup at high-end prices. The packaging might be high-end rather than luxury, but the formulas I find to be very luxurious. So I highly recommend M Cosmetics. I have tried quite a few products from them that I'm obsessed with. This bronzer definitely being one of them. The next category is blush, and I was really thinking long and hard about my favorite blush of 2022, but not just my favorite, the one that I use most, and I feel like I flip-flopped on the blush situation a lot throughout the year. I feel like a lot of new blushes would come along and I would have my moment with them. I would be kind of on the obsessed side with them. One of the blushes I used the heck out of once they came out were the Gucci blushes, but these have only been out for like 3 to 4 months, so I don't think that they're the most used I had in 2022 because they came out towards the end of the year, and from January to like, I don't know, September maybe when they came out, I had a lot of other blushes that I was kind of flip-flopping in between. So while I love these and they might be my most used of this year, 2023, I don't think they were my most used of last year. Anyways, the blush that I chose, the blush that at the end of the day I feel was more of a constant in my makeup routine throughout 2022 was the original Pillow Talk blush from Charlotte Tilbury. I know, basic, but I love this blush because it is not too pink, it's not too out there, it just gives this extremely beautiful natural flush to the face. And I know that I reached a lot for this one throughout last year because it is one of my favorite blushes to use, period. Plus it has this really stunning glow to it that I cannot live without. Look at how beautiful and natural that looks. This blush was just made for me. I absolutely love it. Highly recommended, by the way, and it was my most used blush of 2022 for sure. Possibly also my most used blush of the year prior as well, because it's been a while since I have not been able to put that blush down ever since I tried it pretty much. Now my most used highlighter of 2022 and also my most recommended at the moment is this one here from Charlotte Tilbury. This one I didn't have all throughout the year. I did get it towards the end of the year, but I wasn't constantly using any highlighter in my collection before I got this one, and I haven't used any other highlighter in my collection a lot ever since I got this one. So I think this was my most used. The reason mainly being that I don't think I love highlighter anymore. We had some highlighter releases at the beginning of the year and you guys didn't even see me mention them because I'm just not ready to be disappointed by more highlighters. It's definitely not the highlighters, it's me. But every time I get a new highlighter or I reach for some of my old favorite highlighters, all I can see is texture on my cheek, and the only highlighter that I do not see that with is this liquid highlighter from Charlotte Tilbury or any of the other liquid highlighters from Charlotte Tilbury. See how this looks so good, and I don't think that this one enhances my texture on my cheek. It doesn't make my pores look larger, and I feel like a lot of my other highlighters do. Even some older favorite highlighters, I just have been having a hard time reaching for them, and it has to be me, right? Like the highlighters didn't change, my skin probably changed. And I just haven't been loving highlighter as much as I used to. In fact, throughout a lot of 2022, I skipped on highlighter altogether. However, this Pillow Talk liquid highlighter I do still enjoy using quite a bit. I'm not mad at this one yet. And hopefully I won't be mad at it anymore in the future. I truly don't know what happened, but I just feel like all of the highlighters enhance my texture nowadays, and I have kind of broken up with them, which is a shame because I have a huge highlighter collection. When it comes to eyeshadow palettes, I obviously used a ton of different ones throughout 2022, and because I'm constantly trying new ones, I don't have time to love on my older ones as much as I would like to. However, besides the standard 7 to 8 looks that I did with every other palette that came out, a palette that I was constantly wanting to go back to, and a palette that I took with me every time I did my makeup outside of my house, and even in my house I would sometimes reach for this one every once in a while, and so therefore I think this one must be my most used one. And it's not like every time I used it I created a different look with it, because I didn't. I probably just went for the exact same look, but it is a look that I love and a palette that I love with formulas that I love, and I love to reach for it. And so I'm going to stop blabbing and show you what my most used palette of 2022 was, and I think that you might be surprised. Anyways, I think my most used palette of 2022 was this right here. This is the Glam Face and Eyes palette from Natasha Denona, and I just love these 5 eyeshadow shades right here with a passion. This is a palette that's also kind of a travel palette, so whenever I leave my house I take it with me, and so of course that makes me reach for it even more. But besides that, it's just a really nice color story that I love to reach for a lot, so I always go for this one. And so I think this has to be the one that I reached for most throughout the 2022 year. Plus, I did take it with me to Spain. I was there for 3 weeks and I used it almost daily. So just in that trip, I got a lot of use out of it since I didn't really have anything else at hand, you know? Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and create a look with this one. I love it. Going on to this crease shade next to intensify things a bit. Darkening things up even more with the shade Smoke. This palette is so versatile. You can definitely get beautiful day looks with it, but you can also intensify things to get the most glorious nighttime natural looking eyes. I love it. And then these metallics right here are absolute magic for the center of the eye. They are so beautiful, so pigmented, just stunning, stunning shades. Last shade, Inner Corner, which is exactly where that's going. So take a look right here at the eye look that I created. It is just such a go-to look for me. That has to be my most used palette of last year because I love looks like this one and I took it on vacation and I just love the look every time I use it, even if it's always the same look. Moving on to the next product, you know that I love a waterline color, and my most used waterline eyeliner throughout last year has to have been the Pillow Talk eyeliner because I love popping this one in the waterline of my eyes. I love how it makes my eyes pop and stand out because it's not like a regular brown shade. It has a bit of warmth to it that really makes my eyes pop a little bit more, and so I know I reached for this one a lot throughout last year. It's also one of my shortest eyeliners in my little mug, so I know that I've gotten a lot of use out of it. The most used mascara of 2022 has to be my favorite right here, the Pat McGrath Dark Star mascara, closely followed by the Kjaer Weis mascara because I love that one too, but this is my number one and I know I used it a whole lot in 2022. This one right here is in fact a new tube because I did have to replace mine. Anyways, I'm going to put mascara on and I'll be back to share my most used lip products of 2022. I'm back with my mascara on and I want to talk about my most used lip liner of 2022. Without an ounce of a doubt, even though it came out towards the end part of the year, my most used lip liner of 2022 has to be the Natasha Denona lip liner from the My Dream collection. Look at how short mine is. It's not the shortest lip liner in my collection. I have a couple others that are getting there. In particular, this one here, probably its main competitor, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude lip liner, but I have had this one for like maybe 2.5 years. So 2.5 years versus like 4 to 5 months. Obviously this was the one that I have used most and I love it. It is just the perfect lip liner shade, so I cannot put it down. Take a look, it is just the best color. Besides this one, I also used a lot of like Pat McGrath lip liners, like the Pat McGrath lip liner in the shade Structure I always reach for. Also from Natasha Denona from the I Need a Nude collection. The Julia lip liner is one of my favorites, as well as Ilona. But all of those just kind of went out of my mind when this one came out, because it just is the perfect lip liner shade for me. I don't know how else to explain it. As far as lipsticks are concerned, I did use a Pat McGrath lipstick most throughout 2022, I believe. And that was this one right here from the Bridgerton collection. I absolutely love this lipstick so much. The shade is Nude Romantique 2, and it is perfection. It just has a bit more of a hint of rose to it, and I love it. I'm not gonna say I used this one like that much throughout the year, but I didn't use any lipstick that much throughout the year. This one was definitely the one that I remember reaching for most though. Majority of the year I stuck to lip liner and lip gloss. And so I used a lot of my Pat McGrath lip glosses on top of lip liners, or my Natasha Denona lip glosses on top of lip liners. However, the gloss that I think I used most, hands down, was also from the Natasha Denona My Dream collection in the shade Natasha, because every time I used the lip liner that I used so much, I put this lip gloss on top. So I also used this one a whole lot, and it is my favorite. Plus, also it has to be my most used of 2022. Just take a look right there. I absolutely love this nude lip situation I have going on. Last step, setting spray, and my most used was definitely the setting spray from Charlotte Tilbury. It borderline might be my only use, because I don't think I used a lot of like new ones that came out throughout 2022 or anything like that. So every time I needed a setting spray, this is the one that I would reach for. I have a big one and a little one. This is my little one right here. And so the setting spray concludes this video. These are my most used makeup products of 2022. Period. The makeup products that stood the test of time, the makeup products that are my favorite and that I love to reach for all the time. By the way, I love the makeup look that I created with all of my favorite products. I'd never use them all together like this, but I do reach for all of these products individually a whole lot. So obviously I have a list of all of these products down below in the description box. If you want to shop any of these, please shop using my links down there. And I hope you guys liked this video. I definitely do like the way that my makeup came out. If you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave. I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.